I moved 2 years ago from Germany to Nairobi in Kenya without having the perfect plan. And in this video, I want to share with you what I learned from this experience. So I made the decision to move to Kenya in 2021 when I was the second time in Uganda. I visited my family. I saw how the African continent looks, what kind of opportunities you have here. I saw my family thriving and doing different kinds of businesses here in Uganda. So I was tempted already to move to Uganda, but I was thinking about which country would suit myself better. And right after the trip to Uganda, it was in October, there was still the biggest exposition in the world. There was in Dubai, where all the countries in the world showcase what they have to offer. So it was perfect timing for me that I went there to check out all these different countries. And I was mainly spending time in the African countries to figure out which country would suit myself better. So while being on this fair, I also went to Kenya, and there I saw like how far developed Kenya actually is. So it was, to be honest, from this exposition, it was the most impressive African country I saw. What impressed me about it was just how far advanced Kenya was, how advanced they are in terms of technology, infrastructure, the offerings they have, how investor friendly they were, at least how they showed themselves there at this exposition. And from this time on, I was thinking about more and more to move to Kenya. So I started doing my research there. I said I moved completely without the plan, but I tried to plan as much as possible. So as I said, I went to Uganda and made the decision to move in 2021 October, and the move happened in January 2023. So it was almost 1.5 years of time in between these two situations where I was like, okay, I know I want to move. And when I finally made the move, and during that period, I had enough time to do a lot of research, to meet a lot of people. I even came here to Kenya once in 2022 April, do a bit more research in depth on the ground. So I met with quite a lot of people here that are from the industry I wanted to move into. So back in this time, I was still doing and learning about e-commerce in Germany. And from there on, I gained a lot of experience, and I thought, wow, Kenya looks like a good country to do something similar, because it's on the rise in terms of e-commerce, it's on the rise in terms of technology. They have a very stable internet connection. So everything looks quite promising in terms of starting an e-commerce business here in Kenya. So I just saw that I got a bunch of ideas lined up, because I was checking a lot what Germany has, what Kenya could need. I was checking in this period. I was in the States in between there as well. From 2022, I was there for 3 months. I was in New York. So I was figuring out some things they have in New York, what is impressive, what I think I could take over with me to Kenya and to develop my own business. But the challenge I had was, it was the first time for me venturing into my own business. I was working with my family business. I was supporting some clients here and there on the way, and some smaller businesses as well. But it was the first time for me to actually venture into my own business. And the challenge I think I found there was the shiny object syndrome. So I was seeing so many different things I could realize when I moved to Kenya, what could have a big potential, but then there were always challenges because I was not on the ground and didn't understand the people first. I was working on them, of course, up front, and then when I took the trip the first time, I was, as I said, meeting people from these different kinds of industries I was looking to pursue my business in. It was in e-commerce. I met people, I was meeting some heads of Jumia to understand like how they work and like how far they are, and like just to get some insights from people who are actually working on the ground and like see the numbers and like have a better understanding for this market and the products that are being sold here than me. I was meeting with a bunch of other people and startup founders here, business owners, just to understand actually like what could make sense for me, and maybe already building some kind of partnerships up here and there. The day came closer when it was time for me to make the move. When I landed here in Kenya, actually, I was ready to take over everything. I felt energized. I brought my ideas with me. I was like, okay, let me just figure things out, do my research, start to work on something ASAP. But it took me some time first to get my documents ready. But after I got my documents ready, I was already like, let's say, prepared to start my first venture. And the first thing I did here actually in Kenya was selling products on Jumia, because I was used to sell products in Germany. I helped some people to sell products in the UK. I helped some people to sell products in the US as well. So I knew how the market works and what I could do. So I tried it. And I actually made my first few orders as well from Jumia. It was, I think, approximately like 10 orders in the first, 1 month or 1.5 months, what is actually not bad for the first venture here. But then I realized a problem along this way, that the processes look very much different than I know them from back home. First of all, I had all the time, for instance, go to Jumia to drop off the product I sold, and on some days it was one, or like I had to wait 1 or 2, 3 days to bring 2 or 3 orders with me and to ship them out. but it was just not very cost effective because I had to go there all the time with the border. I have to come back with the border, and the margins were very small, very thin. It was definitely not worth it for me to do this over like a longer period, and this is what I realized after making the first few sales. So then I realized, damn, maybe I should look into something else without like fully optimizing the process, maybe looking for a different product after gaining my first few experiences with this. Then I was again basically not planless, but with all these ideas I had, I understood that like there are always challenges involved and things are not as easy just because they don't exist here in Kenya. But also there's a reason that things don't exist here. There might be the reason that people maybe don't need it right now. Maybe some of the ideas were also more focused on luxury and convenience. That's something that I realized later on as well. If I want to be successful here on this market, I need to go with something that the people here on the ground actually need and that helps them and supports them in their daily lives, basically. So after a while, I canceled my plan with like selling selling online. So I was again in the same phase. And then with the experience I had in e-commerce and marketing, I was like, maybe there are a bunch of businesses here in Kenya, and maybe I could support them and assist them with like just my marketing knowledge to get more eyes on their stuff, to get more sales for these businesses. And this is what I did. After a couple of months later, I started venturing into the e-commerce stuff, and I figured out this might make more sense because I also have to invest no money up front for this, just needs the knowledge you have. And so I was like, let me first off see how I can help other businesses here, so I can also peek into how the business processes work, what kind of customers they work with, what kind of products they sell. Could be the best way for myself to get slowly an eye onto different things here in the market and to understand myself things better before I actually start investing some of the money I had. And this is what I did then. I was still facing a lot of challenges in this process because I was doing a lot of cold outreach because I didn't know many companies back then. Even when I was networking, it was still hard for me to figure out what exactly they want, what exactly they see value in. Because oftentimes when I finally had conversations, I went to some of these offices and I had conversations with them, and for services I would, I don't know, maybe charge in Germany or like the UK clients, I would charge them $500, $600, $700, $800, $1,000 a month. People here in Kenya were telling me that they want to make a lot of revenue with the efforts I put in, but they want to spend very, very much little money. So, and at some point I understood that I cannot work like this because it's not the thing that I came for. And even if there is potential, I saw that this might be not the right way for me to move forward. But I kept going for a couple of months and talked to like a lot of business owners here, had a lot of meetings, had a lot of phone calls, went to a lot of networking events to just market my own services. But I always came to realize the same thing. People oftentimes don't want to spend money. They even had a conversation with quite big companies, and even if I knew the business model already from like some other clients I work with, so I thought I could deliver exactly what they want and I have the experience in it. So they don't have to teach me about the products. They didn't need to teach me about anything in their business, like not that much at least, just the different ways of working here and whatever they do differently. But in the end of the day, it was always a question of the price. But after going like this for another 3 to 4 months and like not getting much out of it. So after this, I understood that I might need to look into a different target audience. So different kinds of people, different kinds of businesses, people who are also like from abroad. So I met some guys from the UK. I started to assist them with their startup because they made bad experiences with like big marketing agencies here on the ground. So I thought this was the perfect way for me to finally enter and like learn about the Kenyan market. So in the end of the day, we worked together, a couple of Kenyan companies here, then in the end of the day from foreigners who needed the support and they knew the value of the knowledge that I have brought them. And this started to continue until then I also could acquire a company from Uganda that was also already making some good numbers, and they were also seeing the value in these things and they got more clients through the work we did. And so basically what I realized through this, just by not giving up and still trying to pursue what I wanted to do and trying to change my focus areas and trying to optimize the product I offered, optimize the conversations I had with different kinds of people, trying to meet different kind of business founders, business owners. I understood and I saw that people actually have the need. I just needed to talk to the right people. But of course, this is a process that takes a lot of time, and especially if you're a founder for the first time. On this way, I also had many conversations with people that were importing and exporting different products. And I was like, hey, this sounds interesting to me as well. Maybe I can try to see how I can learn things about this and the system with this and this and this kind of things with like the imports and exports, because I had some connections. The problem I had and like I had to figure out was like just focusing on one thing. Because in the meantime, I was of course trying to learn, but I was always like close to giving up. I felt how hard things sometimes were here and there. So I was like, maybe it's not the right thing to do for me here. And like, I was always running after something else. I saw like a different person who's doing like already like more money than me. So based on this, I was comparing them with my own business, with my own things that I do. But like I always forgot what that's something that I learned today is that I cannot compare myself and my first year in business with their 10th or 15th year of business, because they have more experience, they had more time to learn things, they had more time to acquire the connections and like establish their business than me. And I think it's a game of longevity and like pursuing things and focusing and just not giving up, basically keeping up your willpower, and like even when things get hard, just to push through. So all of this is to say basically that you just need to be very much flexible when you come to Kenya. You see me, I had my ups, I had my downs, I had my ups again, and I had my downs like all the time. It's still a consistent cycle of it, because you still need to figure out how things work in a different country, in a different continent. The main message I'm trying to send here now is just, even when I did not have the perfect plan, I still made it work and am still able to stay here. With most things in life, we think we need a perfect plan. That's also what I thought in my mind. I was like, okay, let me try to structure everything out. But in the end of the day, now after 2 years, I arrived at a very different destination than I was thinking of in the first year, or like in my first few months here. So all of this to say is just that we sometimes just need to take the action first to figure out where we are walking towards to. Because things will turn out differently, and you will see that you sometimes have an idea, but it's not the best idea. And on the way you develop it further, that maybe something very, very much different will come out of it. Coming to Kenya with a bunch of idea and like thinking that just because I'm from a different country and saw different things, back then I thought was a plan. But now after looking at all these scenarios and the situations where I was in, 2 years later, I see it as like not having a plan at all. It was just like I was lucky enough that I had this willpower. I was lucky enough that I had this energy to make things work. The main lesson I can take for myself from it is just take action and you will see how things develop. If you have the same plan to move to an African country, to move to Kenya, to do whatever you want to do, just take the action and the planning can come in later. Just get some thoughts together, but don't wait too long until you have the perfect plan and the perfect structure, whatever. You will figure out more things while walking this way than like while planning and thinking and researching on these things and wasting more and more time and not getting into action. So I hope this video helped you to just start to take actions and not think too much about whether you should or whether you shouldn't, or like planning for the perfect execution. It's time for you to start the thing, and especially if it's a move to the African continent, if it's a move to Kenya, if it's something big you want to do. The best time to start was already yesterday, but the second best time is today. So you should just start to execute and like figure out things along the way. And I know you will make it work if you have enough willpower, and this is something actually you deeply desire to do. So thank you so much for watching and following my journey, listening to my lessons, and I see you in the next video.